Hello everyone, this is Catherine, otherwise known as Kerr Avenson, and what I would like to talk to you about today is useful stuff for acrylic pouring. This is like tools and tips, stuff that I have collected. So starting from the bottom up, which I can't show you, is floor protection, which I have an office chair mat, which, you know, they're those things that people put down to allow rolling office chairs to roll without, I don't know why. The advantage that one of these has is that you can chuck it on your floor and keep it on your floor, and it's plastic, so it will catch your paint drips if anything spills. Then I have a firm surface, which happens to be a industrial shelf. That's how I film this stuff. I have a shelf and a shelf above it with a hole drilled in it so that my mobile phone can see through. Stuck to my shelf with masking tape is this black thing, which is a barbecue mat, apparently. You're supposed to like put it on your barbecue to make it easier to clean up. So it's basically, it's heat proof and it's non-stick. And I got it at the supermarket for like $10. More easy to obtain than those special craft mats. This is a silicone mat with little edge around it. I think that's because it was made for making roulades and sushi rolls, but it makes it extra useful because it means I don't have to worry about my paint spilling over. So I've basically got two levels of protection here, because you want this because the paint will inevitably drip while you're pouring it or putting it down or whatever. So I find this invaluable. It's a nice smooth shiny surface, makes it very easy for acrylic skins. They have shiny underneath, they're very easy to peel off. This is very easy to clean. Another thing, painting clothes. This is an old t-shirt, an old favourite, but alas, it got stained, so it is a primary usefulness for painting clothes, because no matter how careful you are, you will spill things. Now, I normally don't wear this cardigan, but it's quite cold today. But this is sort of my old ratty cardigan, so I don't quite mind so much if it ends up getting paint on it. But normally I would just have bare arms with short sleeves, but it's now moving into autumn, so I'll have to rethink that. And I'm also wearing some old tracksuit pants, which again, you know, no worries if you accidentally spill paint on it. You know, it just don't wear good clothes. And gloves. These are the gloves that I use. I originally got these for working with resin, but they are good for working with acrylic pouring or alcohol ink. And you know, these are quite, for someone with small hands, I'm not drowning in the gloves. once I figured out how to sort of deal with the extra long fingers. And they are quite light and thin. See, the secret is you have it, see it's poking there, and then you just grab it and you just pull it down like that. And then your fingertips are okay. So I got these at the supermarket as well. You can also get similar ones at Bunnings, but it's much easier to get supermarket. And powder free and latex free, so you know they're good. And a box of tissues. I find that for, you know, random wiping things up, tissues are just the easiest way of going, because you've got a dirty hands, you can grab the tissues with your dirty hand and then use it to wipe it, which makes it much easier than paper towels, which you have to rip off with difficulty, or toilet paper, which you have to rip off with difficulty. And some people like to use you know, wet wipes, but I figure they're just too expensive and not worth it, particularly when you have your handy dandy bottle of water with you. This is the kind of bottle they use in chemical laboratories, and the advantage of this style of bottle is that you don't have to go like that. You just hold it here and you just squeeze it and the water comes out. So it's worthwhile to me to pay the extra money to get a particularly nice squeeze bottle. And this is useful for cleanup. You know, you can wet your tissue with it, squeeze, and then, you know, wipe things up. Not that there's much to wipe up right now, but you know, you get the idea. And of course, if you have to thin your paint, then it is very useful to just squeeze a bit in your paint. My little thing of paint. Let's check if it's too thick. It might be too thick. Yeah. It's not really, but just pretend it is. Squeeze. And you've managed to do your painting thing, squeezy. As demonstrated, these nice little plastic containers with lids, and of course your tongue depressor, popsicle stick, craft stick, stir stick, of which there are a few sizes. You have the big size, you have the little size, and you have the long and narrow size, which I think are supposed to be coffee stirrers or something. Now why they're so long, I don't know. And I generally try to clean them up. See, that one's okay to use. I just threw out the other one because it just had too much gunk on it. It just depends on whether you can manage to clean it up or not, but I try to reuse them. And these little things, I think, are supposed to be for like dipping sauce. Anyway, I bought them in a thrift shop with all the other plastic containers, and I think they're a nice size. Though, as far as paint goes, it is not actually my preferred method. Though it does, having it in little pots makes it easier to thin it down if you need to, but it makes it more difficult to actually pour off in a less messy way. So my go-to for paint mixing is squeeze bottles of various sizes. My largest ones, which I got from Clever Patch, 250 mils. I use these ones for the white paint, since I use it a lot, and the black paint, though I don't use it quite as much. And I have various sizes of, these are the sort of the big size, because, well, the 250 mils are the big size. These ones are 150 mils, which I find is a very nice size. It's pretty hard to find medium-sized squeeze bottles. They're usually large because they're designed for, tomato sauce. Then there's this size, which doesn't have any markings on it, so I don't know. Then there is this size in between, which I got from a different thrift store, and they don't always have them in, but these two are my favorite sizes, because when you start getting here, you start getting a bit small, and you sort of say, well, what's the point? But I have even smaller ones there, and the smallest ones of all, which are actually really cute and useful if you want needle-nosed bottle, and that's these ones. This is really nifty. I got these on eBay. You have a little needle nose squeeze bottle if you want to do something that's very fine, and it comes with a little attached lid, which is rather important. I got some other ones that I found rather annoyingly didn't come with lids, which you sort of think, well, what's the point of having a squeeze bottle if it doesn't have a lid? But yes, those are the sizes of squeeze bottles that I have. And as you can see, I label them with what their mix is, though sometimes I don't always put the ratio there. So this is Joe Sonia Cadmium Yellow Light with Floetrol and GPM, that's Global Pouring Medium, in a ratio of 1 to 2 to 1. I'm still working out the mixes stuff, but my current working attempt is to standardize on having Floetrol and Global Pouring Medium, but putting them in different proportions depending on whether the paint is thick-ish or very thick-ish, not quite so thickish, or very thin, very thin. So with these ones I use more Floetrol, and these ones I use more global pouring medium because the Floetrol is thinner than the pouring medium. This stuff is really thick, but it comes in a convenient squeeze bag. So yes, I'm using all sorts of brands of paint. Some of it depending on my convenience as to how easy it is to acquire. So, oh, and also of course the question of what the range of colours are. Also useful mixing cups. Well, I also have a smaller mixing cup which has gone on walkabout. Oh, it's probably sitting somewhere drying, but it's a smaller one, 100 mils instead of 250 mils, which is, it's a better size for mixing 100 ml bottle. See, I don't mix these ones in a mixing cup because they've got convenient markers. Mind you, I often mix them in the bottle, and as with this one, just put markers there with my fingers when I'm, putting the stuff in. As regards to mixing stuff in a squeeze bottle, one of the tips I have is, say you wanted to mix this in the bottle, and you wanted 1 part paint, 2 parts Floetrol, 1 part pouring medium. I would put 1 part pouring medium or Floetrol in first to there, and then put the paint in until the liquid reaches here. The reason for that is that if it's not fluid paint, it's not going to sort of conveniently sit at your 30 ml mark. But if you put liquid in first, then it will displace the liquid to the 60 ml mark, and you will then have the right amount, and then fill it up to there, and then shake the heck out of it. That's the advantage of these ones, is that it's easier to stir it to a nice consistent thing, whereas with this, it is, if you're dealing with thicker paint like the Senolia, then it's actually easier to mix it up in a cup than in a bottle. But if you're dealing with thinner ones, then it's much easier to mix it up in the bottle. Ah, yes. The torch. This I got at Bunnings. It's just a torch which you can lock, and that will turn it off, but I tend to just do it holding it, because then as soon as I let go it stops. This you use for popping bubbles in your paint and for bringing up cells, especially if you're using silicone. I just tend to use it to pop bubbles. You need to practice with this. My first few times I scorched my paper and melted my Yupo paper. So you have to practice with the torch. Don't worry, it won't bite, and it won't burn if you're careful. Besides my shelf, I have a set of drawers which has all my paints and tools. Ah yes, more tools. So besides little containers for putting the paint in, you want containers for pouring your paint from. Little plastic cups are fine, you can wash them. And my favourite size is actually this. These are little medicine cups. I'd like to get more. 60 millilitres. Shot glasses, as you can see. This one's been used before. What I find, unlike with these ones, which are easy to clean, with these ones, they have a limited life because they have a tendency to crack like that, which can happen when you're trying to clean them, for example. So that one's dead, Jim. They're just a bit rigid and they will crack, but you can still reuse them to a degree until you break them. Another thing that's pretty useful, toilet rolls. Yes, it's raining hard. I hope you can hear me. I use them for tunnel pulls. So I will basically cut one in half and put it. Anyway, there's a video of me doing a tunnel pour or a tunnel drag. It's another method, but hey, it's a toilet roll. You can keep your toilet rolls. Other useful tools. I don't know what it's called. It's a cake thing, and I'm about to demonstrate another cleaning method. Methylated spirits. Basically, if water hasn't gotten it off, then the alcohol will. So that was cleaned with water and not completely. So now I've finished it off with the alcohol. So I have that in a convenient spray bottle. And so yes, and it's labelled 100% metho. That is methylated spirits is what they call in Australia. In other places it's called denatured alcohol. So this is a cake icing spatula thing, and as I said, I've forgotten what I called. I got this at the supermarket. It's good for doing swipes with. Then there's palette knives, which are extremely useful. And you can tell which ones I've used the most because they've got the dirtiest handles. Yes, these are metal ones. Mat. I got them on eBay as a set. I think it was eBay. For a very reasonable price, and I'm very glad that I got proper metal ones, but plastic ones will do. A straw. Bendy straws are good because you can direct them. So that's for using the blowing technique. You can just get those at the supermarket. You know, a packet full. And a wide tooth comb, which I probably also got at the supermarket for doing the comb technique. Nice wide tooth, you know, they're supposed to be for detangling your hair, but hey, look, I've never found them useful for that. A Sharpie for writing on my bottles. Ah, yes. A little portable shelf for drying things on. This is on the shelf underneath. And I also have a non-stick mat on the shelf underneath as well, so that I can basically do my thing and then put it underneath instead of having to get up and go over to my drying racks. Yep, over there. They are, what do you call them? Letter drawers? Folders? I've forgotten. Again, more non-stick mats on my shelf. I think I've about covered it, at least the most important things. So I hope that is helpful to you, and I will see you in the next video. May the pause be with you.